when I learned that the strategy of putting it away was trying to keep me safe, but the reality of the anger that I felt needed to come out of my body. But it was just like this battle of the two things. Understanding it was very helpful for me, and having an opportunity in a safe environment to let what was really there out in a safe way, in a safe place, with safe people that I knew were not going to judge me, but were going to love me through it.
Welcome to the Mindful Humanship Podcast with Amy Monea
and Angie Payne. Is it possible that an animal, horses, can lead us to be mindfully human?
Join us as we discuss the wisdom of the horse and the impact they can have on our everyday lives.
Our conversations are guided between the reins of connection and mental health.
Good day.
Good day. Or you could say it in an English accent.
I don't know how. You're the one with that.
Your sister's English, isn't she?
No. Well, she's lived there for a while, I guess. It's in your bones.
Good day? No, I don't know. Anyway. I haven't been English for like 60 years.
Yes, I haven't been English for like
Ever.
2 generations.
I was born in England, but I am not English. All right. We're into a trigger warning today for our episode 4 of Mindful Humanship, the knowingness of horses. So, warning, we are going to be discussing shame today. So, if shame is something that you struggle with and it's something you don't want to sit and listen to, then feel free to leave this episode. You might want to come back to it another time. But if you are sitting there going, yeah, that is me, and you'd like to join in, then please do. And we'll look forward to the next round about 30 minutes with everybody watching.
So shame, super unexciting topic, but something that we commonly see in the arena. And I think not just see with our clients, it's something that I've danced with and you've talked about too.
Oh, yes. I have danced with shame a lot of my life, actually. A lot of my life. Now that I look back, I didn't know that I was dancing with shame, of course. But in episode 1, I think I kind of touched on it a little bit, where I was an angry human. I didn't know I was an angry human, but I was. I had good reason to be angry. I didn't know that either. I do now, which is great. But, I would have outbursts of like really vile, horrible anger. And it would come out at really crazy times, very inappropriate times. It was super unhealthy. And it would happen. And then the cycle for me would be, oh my God, I feel so terrible. The next step was, I'm just a terrible human being. And then the next step was, I'm so ashamed of myself. And then the next step would be, I would just want to disappear from the world. And then the anger, of course, didn't go away because I felt ashamed. It would come back up again, and the whole cycle would happen again. And this went on for years of my life.
Like the cycle would validate itself or continue to perpetuate itself over and over again.
I told you, you were a terrible human being. Look at what you just did. You're a terrible human being. Oh, see, I told you you're a terrible human being.
Only terrible human beings do that.
Right.
Can I ask you a question? And you can tell me if you can or can't. That's fine. But like when you say it would come out in vile, horrible ways, like do like an example of what it would look like? Maybe not specific, but like, are you talking about like yelling or something would happen and it would like trigger? There would be not be a trigger, but then all of a sudden you're yelling and screaming,
yelling and swearing and screaming and crying. Like it was just awful.
Like a full, like 10 out of
Just a 10 out of 10. Like you would have run away. You would have been like, oh my God. And you would have run away. I mean, I've come in hot before, right? With you or Brett, but I know that I can have a tendency to do that, but it's not like, and then I can come back and go, ooh, boss, I was kind of hot yesterday. I apologize. And he'll say, it's okay. Thank you for the apology. And then we move on. But I mean, that is like a fraction.
And probably like you would be like that, people would run away. That would also validate the
Absolutely
person. Nobody wants to be around me.
Yeah. Or, you know, it would come back at me. Or, yeah. It was awful, awful, awful. I now know that I'm not an awful human being, but my behavior was awful, but I had no control at all. I was completely in a rage. You know how horses, they can flip their lids, or like all of a sudden they're freaking out about seemingly nothing.
Or like toddlers, like snap,
lose it, freak out. Yeah, that was me.
And I guess I ask you that question not to like try to take you back there, but so that if you're listening and this is happening for you, or you're living with someone is dealing with shame in their life, like that's what it can.
Yeah.
I know for me, shame didn't necessarily come out so much as anger, but as in like, I don't know, that disappear feeling for sure.
Yeah.
So I would feel it like in my chest and in like this part, like what do you call it, solar plexus, of like my chest would collapse, not physically collapse, but feel like it was like sinking back, collapsing. Had a hard time, like I can have a hard time breathing. I can feel like almost nauseous. And then just like in my stomach, just wanting to like sink back into myself. And if I disappear, that would be great. Like if I just sunk into a hole and nobody saw me, that would be the best option. And I do want to say, like, there is a part of that, like getting really small, that is, I don't
really
know, valuable. It was very valuable and helpful. And there are times where it comes up. I'm now like having done some work around it. Hopefully I can be a little more conscious when it comes up and be like, is this a time that it would be beneficial to get small? Yep. And choose to do that and allow myself to do that without like getting into that place of shame. But for me, it would happen around, you know, teenage, like, I don't want to say inappropriate things, but yeah.
Like the difference between doing something terrible, although I can never imagine you actually doing anything terrible, but in your mind, doing something terrible versus being a terrible person.
Yeah, like if I hurt somebody and I didn't mean to, gosh, I would lose a lot of sleep over that. If I was, because I was figuring out my sexuality, my sensual, like growing from a girl into a young woman, there was a lot of shame around that. And I think that some of that is maybe societal too.
Well, and again, we've talked about the societal norms, right, of what you should and should not be doing. That can place a lot of pressure on people too, as far as like trying to be an individual, but also live up to the expectations of society. I would think could put people into that place of feeling like they need to just disappear because they're not good enough, or shameful. They've done something. Oh my God.
Right. There was a saying that was said to me. This is like really hard to talk about. When I was a high school rodeo queen and training to like represent an association as a rodeo queen. And it was, you need to always appear available and never be available. And now when I say that out loud, like it does make me sick to think that way. And hopefully that has changed and it's a lot more the gals who are involved in it, the women who step into those roles, are empowered to be like professionals representing a sport that I deeply care about the sport. And and the people involved in it. But that is a part that really was conflicted for me, and actually why I didn't continue on after was around a lot of that kind of internalized shame and having to make those decisions.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that feels weird to say, but I say those, and I guess I want to communicate that because I think it's quite, like, there is a lot like personal, but a lot in the society that would perpetuate shame. So
Absolutely. Especially for women.
And in men it can also appear very differently.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shame for men if they don't fit societal roles too, like men don't cry, boys don't cry. So if you happen
Men
to
support, men provide.
yeah, if you can't do those things, there is a lot of shame that men carry. Where like the reality is we're supposed to be in families, in homes, like working together, and everybody has emotions. It doesn't matter your body makeup or your gender. Everybody has emotions, and it's actually more dangerous to suppress them. Like anger is bad.
Yes.
Because when we get in that shame place. But I think
you
that
shouldn't be angry.
Yeah.
You should just get over it.
Good girls aren't angry.
And just get over it. Just get, it's fine.
Yeah.
You don't just get over it. Like you don't just get over it. I can't say that enough. It's not that easy.
Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to talk about shame because it is deeply personal, and it is the thing that we run up against, probably that we end up working with. If we had to pick a theme over and over and over again, it can come up in grief, like the regret and the shame of I didn't do, I wasn't there, I didn't, a lot of stuff left incomplete. I'm a terrible, child or terrible spouse or whatever. It can come up in trauma. It's very, very common.
Yeah, it's like a little, I don't know, a little gremlin crawling around ready to take over your body. Soul sucking. Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
And when we have shame present, often it takes or it hides the best parts of ourselves. And so there's a lot that can be done, but we talk in Mindful Humanship about horses and the beauty of horses and how they can walk people, or as someone who's like danced with shame, as a therapist, it is my job to take care of my shame, like in a different environment.
Yes.
Yeah. So going to therapy myself, continuing to do the work when it shows up. Yeah.
It's so important.
Having relationships that are safe, that can process some of that, talk about some of that, be reminded when we get into those places of like, am I a terrible person? And have people that love and care about us who can grab us by the cheeks and say, you are not terrible. Yeah, you are a beautiful person. You are a good person. You are a kind person. Kind people make mistakes, and you are not terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It may take a while to believe that.
Yeah.
But it's also so helpful to hear it as many times as you need to hear it.
And I say that's one of my favorite parts about being a therapist is I get, when people don't believe that, I get to hold that.
Yep.
For other people. You might not believe this, but I'm going to hold it until you do.
Yep.
Don't like to hold things for my clients, but that is one thing I am like, yep, I will hold that.
I'll hold that until you can take it from me and believe it. Yeah, you betcha.
We have such a cool story about shame, and your little trigger walking someone through it. I don't think you need to share, like, we don't need to talk about the details, but it's in the book. But tell the story about the shame, because it's the wildest story for me in that book.
It was a wild story. And when I tell it, I'm still like, did that actually happen? But it honestly did. One day.
Question.
Yeah.
Did you actually wash that blanket, or did you just take it out?
It's still in the notes. I took it wide.
Okay.
So I had a client one day whom I had seen quite a few times. But it was the first time that I found out that one of her parents had died by suicide. And so the process that I went through was a grief piece, but more about what she was carrying from the trauma of a parent dying by suicide. So losing a parent is traumatic and awful. And losing them by suicide leaves lingering things that oftentimes kids can carry.
And I think like when you lose a parent, when you lose anybody you love to suicide, there can be a lot of guilt and shame.
You betcha. So what I did was I had we have a big bucket of blankets here. So we often cover the chairs and people can put them over their laps and so forth. And they're all different colors and shapes and patterns and things like that. And so I took my little bucket of blankets. We represented the dad by a teddy bear sitting on the rails of the round pen. And then there was a little Trigger, me, my client, and this pile of blankets.
So describe little Trigger first.
So Trigger is like a little Palomino miniature horse. He's about 350 pounds.
Just a little guy.
Of like sass, like absolute sass. He lives with all the big horses. It's not unusual for him to walk by and just kick them in the chest, right? Like, or get away from my food. Or
he thinks he's
like,
really something.
Yeah, he does. Like the blonde hair, you know, in the commercials where somebody flick your hair like that. That's what Trigger looks like when he's like trotting through the pasture, right?
Yeah.
So there he is, this little dude. He's just kind of standing around, not doing much. And I'm laying blankets around my client, representing the different things that she's carrying for her father, like guilt. And there was one beautiful pink blanket that I threw down that represented shame. And there was about 10 blankets. And this pink blanket representing shame. We were very clear on what that was. And so little Trigger comes around and he's mooching around and he checks all the blankets with his nose, moves them with his feet a little bit. And then he came to the pink blanket that represented shame. He straddled it and he peed all over it. So what happened from there was like, wow, what's going on here? She said this, so just peed all over shame. Like, yeah. So what do you want to do with that shame? And what came out of her mouth was, well, I can't pick it up, can I? I'm like, well, you could. Like, if you want to, you can pick it up. It was soaked in urine and gross. But she decided she did not want to pick that shame up. She did, however, want to give it back to where it belonged, which was to her father in her mind. And so she said, well, I can't pick it up and throw it, but I sure can kick it. Like, you sure can. And so she proceeded to kick this urine-soaked pink blanket towards the teddy bear that represented her father that had suicided. And with that, there was this big, huge, like, exhale. And I don't know if she'd ever exhaled that deeply before. I didn't really ask. But it was just this, like, huge letting go. And then Trigger just walked away like, yep, that's my job. Where's my treats? Aren't I a good boy? Did he feel shameful about peeing all over the pink blanket? I don't think so. In fact, I would bet a lot on the fact that he did not feel shameful about it. In fact, I think he probably felt really proud of himself.
Yeah. I love that, like, this story, it just kind of blows my mind, or like, not blows, boggles my mind how he could do that. Because he's kind of wild. No, he's not wild, but he's not like a super trained pony that like performs tricks and stuff and does whatever you want. Like, he's not afraid to push the boundaries, push the limits, push someone with his nose. If they're not listening or not paying attention, he will bite somebody.
Yes.
It's usually like a full-on bite, but he'll like little shark attack. Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
So this story, it's hard to like make sense of it, explain it, because I don't think he understood what shame meant like the way we do. But for whatever reason, that was what he did. And that made, I can just imagine the difference for that person, even for me, like the difference for that when I think about shame. And shame is something like, it's like a mold or like a fungus that grows in darkness and grows in silence and grows in isolation. And when we have a place where we can do that, like take it out and like let the light see it, which sounds like really churchy. That's not what I'm necessarily what I'm saying,
Right.
but like when we can tell someone about it and then be like, oh no, you're not terrible. Doesn't make you terrible. That is what, like the, I don't know, antidote, that is part of healing shame. Being able to do
for
that.
sure.
And having a horse be like, oh,
You don't like,
let's on that.
let's not pick that up. Let's not touch that. Let's not even, I mean, we acknowledge it obviously because it was soaked in urine, but she did not pick it up. She did not have a desire to pick it up. And just that metaphor of, I'm not actually going to pick that shame up. For my client, it meant everything. And I wonder, like, the energy of shame is just dark, right? Even if you say the word, it's like, did he pick up on that? And that was like that, look, this is awful. Not that he, in his brain, went, that's awful, I'm just going to go over and pee on that. But horses live in the world through energy. And I wonder, I don't know, I'll never know. But,
and I think that like the other part I want to come back to is the, like when the difference between some people call, or like in some places it's like toxic shame and healthy shame. And other very famous people have said it's guilt versus shame. And so when we look at that, like guilt is we did something bad, shame is I am bad.
Yeah.
And we can change when we do something bad, we can like behavior can be influenced. We can take accountability. We can have a look at it. We can change our behavior. But when like the core, I am bad, that is hard. How do we become unterrible?
Yeah.
And so I think that it's very like almost paralyzing. Shame can be. Yeah. And how do you find the courage, but also the safety to be able to start to look at it?
Yeah.
And someone that you can trust or is trained, like our friends and people we love us don't want us to feel bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So it might be the most well-meaning thing to be like, don't think like that. Don't do that. Well, why would you even like bring that up again?
You're being ridiculous. You're not terrible, but inside you feel terrible.
No,
at least I did.
I'm terrible for even bringing it up. Why would I do that? Yeah. Again, I'm terrible. But a professional.
Yeah. For me, I think the understanding of what was happening in my body, that I felt anger. It wasn't appropriate to voice it. I didn't have the right to. I shouldn't. Girls don't get angry.
Like
so
and the stovet's trying to boil and you're like,
and so then it would do that. And then the lid would blow off of it. And shame would put the lid back on it.
With like something, like probably something that was like deserved a 2 or a 3 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Or like a boundary or somebody, said something or a kid was hungry or like even a meltdown and then
lid comes off. Oh my God. But yes, when I learned that was the strategy of putting it away was trying to keep me safe. But the reality of the anger that I felt needed to come out of my body. But, it was just like this battle of the two things. Understanding it was very helpful for me. And then having an opportunity in a safe environment to let what was really there out in a safe way, in a safe place, with safe people that I knew were not going to judge me, but were going to love me through it. Oh, it was transformational, possibly. Green, yes.
Yeah.
Does it still come up from time to time? Yes. But at least now I know not to let the lid blow off, not to let it get to the place where the lid's gonna blow off.
I think being a little kinder to ourselves or kinder to myself when I get in that shame place. I'm like, okay, this is about shame. This is not about me being terrible. Or this is familiar, but I don't need to do this. Super helpful. Super helpful.
Yeah. What it all comes down to is being able to provide ourselves compassion, which is not easy, especially when you feel shameful. As far as I'm concerned, though, there is a lot of talk about healing. We're on a healing journey and all of this. We're on a quest to provide ourselves compassion. That is what it is, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I don't know what healing means. Does healing mean it never happened? Therefore, we go forward in life like free? I don't think so. That wouldn't feel real to me, because the truth is that things that have happened in our life actually did happen. We can't say they didn't. So it's still lies somewhere in our body, but maybe we can have a better relationship with it.
And I think when we talk about self-compassion, it's not, I think it's one of those things that can be hard to skip over, skip the shame to self-compassion. Yeah, we dance with those dark places, then we actually can, have a relationship with them, and we can influence relationships. We can have boundaries in relationships. We can do that stuff, but we don't need to be controlled necessarily by shame or
Consumed by it.
Consumed when it comes up. Like maybe we do kind of fall that way for a moment, but then quickly being able to get back to a place where we can, it's a part of us, but it doesn't need to be the thing that consumes, controls. I don't really know what else. I'm like, we're done. That's it. Thanks for coming out.
I think sure to buy our book and read more awesome stories.
And if you are on a journey of dancing with shame, keep going and don't stop. Some days will be hard, but I don't know.
Somewhere, and somewhere inside, I believe there is that part that knows you're not a terrible person. You just need to find that little tiny piece and allow it to grow.
And if you don't believe that right now, we can hold that. We will hold that until you can believe it yourself. And even now, there are times where other people have to hold it for me, and I have to ask to be reminded, to be able to take that back. So,
I sometimes have to hold Amy's face and say, "You're not a terrible person."
Yeah.
Maybe that's not helpful. I don't know.
That comes a little velociraptor spider monkey. And I'm like, You're right. It's fine when you don't hold my face.
It's going to bully you into believing.
Believe this or else. But yeah.
Join us in the round pit. No.
Join us in the round pit. Anyways, thank you for joining us on this episode of Mindful Humanship. Please, if you're feeling triggered, take care of yourself. Reach out to those supports if you have professional supports in place. Just take care of yourself. You're really the only person you got your whole life. So, being kind to yourself is necessary.
Sure is. It sure is. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and please start a conversation if you feel called to. We'd love to hear from you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Mindful Humanship podcast.
May the horse always bring you home.